Hello everyone. Technology, vice or virtue? With all the craze about social media and now the social dilemma, are we being emancipated and freed by our technology and our devices, or are we being enslaved by it? It's quite an ironic question, because technology was always meant to be a tool, an instrument, to amplify and to help us speed up the access of information, the broadcast of information, the processing of information. But the fact of the matter is, many people, even though they can't get themselves freed from it, feel addicted. You have to be checking your texts, you don't respond, people may be upset, you may be upset. So what is really going on, and how are we supposed to look at technology? And above all, it really poses the question, which is, who are we? What defines our lives? Even before technology, I remember people, well, I can't say before technology. Technology has always been around, but I remember, and still till this day, some people live their life through their TV shows. I remember a fellow to come to my classes and told me, I live through my soap operas. If I can't watch them live, it wasn't really live, obviously, but he meant live when it was being broadcast live, I record them. And indeed, it reflected in his life, a very fine person. But it made life easier for him because in a way, he lived through the pains and the joys and the tragedies and the celebrations of the characters in the show. To always talk to me about his lack of ability to really find the proper soulmate. And it was sad for me, but I did point out to him, your soulmate is the characters, the fictional characters on your screen. How many of us are living vicariously through our screens, through our shows, through our programs? So on one hand, there's no question that there's great benefit to technology. Great stories have been told through film and through TV, narratives, human drama, insights. But then there's that when you cross the line, that it's no longer about something informing you, but something shaping and defining you. So technology, like all things, is neutral. There's no such thing as good technology, bad technology. It's how it's used. The technology itself is just a device. It's just an instrument. It's just energy. It's like nuclear energy, atomic energy, electricity. Use it correctly, and it enhances your life in tremendous ways. Use it incorrectly, it just can destroy your life. What concerns us, and what should concern us, do we lose our souls and our psyches in the process? Well, as one cynic told me, I didn't lose my soul. I never had it in the first place. I don't know if I was supposed to laugh or cry. What that means is that from young childhood, we're already being shaped. I mean, just think of the marketing around sports, football, baseball, basketball, how we become attached to the games and attached to the stars, the heroes, and their gains and losses and their trades. And it could often replace living your own life. I don't know if it still exists, but I remember a site, it was called Second Life, I believe, where you paid high fees to join a Second Life, where you can create your own persona. And people created this whole anonymous new persona, their looks, their stature, their height, their sexiness, all Second Life. And people pay thousands of dollars to become part of this. It was living a life that you dream of, but not one that's real. And you can always, if there's too much pain, since it's all virtual, you can easily adjust that as well. The real people in life, the real people that you can call someone that's real, you'll see technology, events around them, even other people's opinions do not shape and define them. They value those opinions, and they listen closely, but they don't allow it to shape and define their lives. And it comes back to your soul, the most precious part of who you are, your true inner identity. What defines you? Very often in our world, those definitions are imposed upon us. First by parents, by educators, by society, by media. That's why it's so vital. If you're someone that has a child or plan to have a child, that newborn child is that impressionable ball of wax that's not yet been impressed upon in any form or fashion. The most beautiful part of life, like freshly fallen snow. No one has walked on it. No one has trampled upon it. No one has shaped it. And it's the greatest gift for a human being to help shape another life. You don't create that life, but you make sure, just like a gardener, you make sure to nurture, to cultivate through affirmation, through validation, through compliments, through vote of confidence in the person and saying you can do it, believing in them, embracing their dreams and aspirations. The contrast, of course, is also like a gardener, to weed out the weeds. What are the weeds? Pollutants, toxins. When you impose your disappointments, you project your fears and uncertainties and insecurities. You criticize. You're not there for the child. I'm not even mentioning more overt forms of abuse. That does the exact opposite. The child and the identity of the child never shape, never develop, and take on a shape and form that you can call your own. Ask yourself, do you belong to yourself or do you belong to others? And I don't mean in the literal sense of slavery. Belong to others, belong to their opinions, belong to their attitudes, to whether you please them or don't please them. How much it impacts you. Now, we all want to be liked, and we don't like to be criticized. But if it completely destroys you, that means that you are not fully yourself. You're being defined by others. And when technology is thrown into the picture, then it throws it into a whole different world. A whole different world where then we can't even figure out what we should be doing. Because the technology amplifies everything and creates a situation where you can't even begin to define yourself. You're inundated and shaped in this powerful way that doesn't allow you to discover the true self. That's why it's even more important, interestingly, even more important to embrace your soul in a time like this, in a modern age. How much is being streamed into our minds, into our hearts, as we speak? Even I, as speaking to you, I'm streaming into you. I'm hoping that my message, the message I'm sharing, empowers you not to be defined by technology, but to be defined by yourself. You're probably familiar with something I find to be one of the most powerful exercises. A short prayer every morning, a meditation, where we say, thank you for returning my soul to me. We must embrace, it's not an option, we must embrace and celebrate our souls, your unique voice, your unique music. It's the only way to counter the forces of technology. And I don't mean technology, the neutral part. I mean the marketing part. I mean how technology is being used to manipulate us, to direct us, to guide us. Not to suggest that every form of marketing is bad, but it definitely is telling you what you think should be important. So now, I would call this information age, the technology revolution, should be the revolution of the soul. Because now more than ever, when there was a time you lived in a little town and you had no media. So if you had unhealthy influences, it can cause the same type of damage, perhaps on a smaller scale. But if you had beautiful influences, a grandfather, a grandmother, parents, siblings, a community, there was no alien forces trying to control, trying to take your mind and heart hostage. Today, to abolish, to eliminate technology is not an option. I mean, if you can pull that off and go off into a forest and live in a way that's completely unplugged, God bless you. But for most of us, it's not a practical option. The practical option is to add an offense to counter the forces that are influencing us. Because at the end of the day, if you are who you are, because you are who you are, then whatever comes your way, including technology, including all the driving forces that are trying to sell you something, or trying to convince you of something, or trying to direct you, or trying to control your thoughts and feelings, they can only control someone who's controllable, someone who has that susceptibility and vulnerability. And this is true not just with technology, it's just with technology, it's all amplified. So the goal here is to find yourself. Many people say, okay, get a filter, especially, I didn't even mention the negative and the polluting forces of porn and other things online that can definitely impact a human being. Get a filter, control your time, all that is good, but those are defensive measures that at best control the flow, regulate the flow. Yes, it's pretty nice to have 1 hour a day where you're looking at your computer or at your smartphone. Number one is, can you enforce it? Will you enforce it? Is 1 hour a day going to be enough? Especially if you work with online, especially in this stage of the COVID. Whereas what I'm suggesting is, in addition to any defensive measures you'd like to take, great, is introduce a whole new offense. What do you stand for? Write down on a piece of paper, what do you stand for? The best is to discover your mission statement. We've actually developed a course, Discovering Your Personal Mission Statement, especially being used by people who are going through middle-age crisis. Why mid-age? Because that seems to be a time where transitions and so on. But the truth is, all of us need a mission statement. What does a mission statement do? It doesn't just focus your life. It also avoids other things focusing your life that don't belong there, or should only be optional, or should only be a prop, an accrement, a incidental. Discovering your mission is the single most powerful way to make sure that the whole information age and everything coming our way is used to help you fulfill your mission. This doesn't mean we don't have time for entertainment or time for some leisure, but even that's also part of your mission. Remember, mission doesn't mean 24/7 you're busy working. It means that you have an overall focus, and even your rest and even your respite and anything you may do what is called leisure is also toward a higher end. I suggest check it out on at meaningfullife.com. One of the names of it is called Midlife Miracle, but it's also called Discovering Your Personal Mission. If a business can't function without a mission, we surely can't. But let's go back to our topic, because the mission is really a preemptive and a preventive measure that can help you in every area of life. But going back to technology is so much part of who we are today. Wouldn't it be beautiful you can harness it to fulfill your calling, to fulfill your mission? I'll just use myself as a guinea pig. I don't know if it's the right word, but as an example. I use technology all the time. I'm using it right now. The different programs we do online, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or all the other platforms, social media platforms, other ways of communicating, podcasts, you name it. To me, it's really a gift to be able to amplify, distribute, and widely reach many people with a message, exactly this message, that your soul is your single most important thing, not your gadget, not your device. The devices, like all tools, help you fulfill whatever it is you want. You want to build a home? Yes, you need hammer and nails and contractors and plumbers and electricians. But they are not the means. They are not the end. They are the means. Same thing as technology. So technology is as good as what you use it for. I know it sounds like a simple truth. Who doesn't know that? But just look at how it becomes, the medium becomes the message. The medium becomes that which controls you. Can you imagine? Your hammer, your nails, your screwdriver, the instruments. In a way, it's telling you where to go. In effect, it should actually be helping get where you want to go. But that requires inner work. That requires sometimes intense inner work. But it's gratifying. It's exhilarating. It's finding your voice. Finding your inner voice. When you have that, then you go online. Then you have something to share. And even if you listen to others, you know what you want to learn. You're looking for what you want to learn from it. You look to cross-pollinate, to interact, to create a synergy. I've been advocating during this pandemic, we must turn this pandemic into a pandemic of goodness and kindness. Technology is the perfect medium for that, the perfect platform. Instead of sitting and absorbing and actually being assaulted with all the news coming from all directions, with all the partisan and political interests, imagine using it all for your fulfillment of your calling, which includes obviously interacting and working with others. This, my friends, is the key to determining whether technology is vice or virtue. And it can change your life dramatically. Simple way to begin. In addition to the exercise I mentioned, the Moda Ani, a simple way to begin is begin texting and emailing others a kind, beautiful, heartwarming message on a daily basis. Everyone has their contact list. Just send something out, something you've heard, something you've received. You could forward. You don't have to create it anew. If you want to create it anew, even better. You will see that it will introduce a new element into your interactions with others and into your own life. It's so easy to do. It's the press of a button. I remember many years ago, I've shared this story, I believe. I was traveling to East Hampton for a weekend Shabbaton, a retreat. On my way, I stopped for gas in a small, it was on Long Island Expressway. I went over the exit. I pull up. Guy is helping me. Fill up the car with gas. As I'm about to leave, one of the people there was right next door to the gas station, was a club. And he asked me, "Are you staying for the party tonight?" He was like an attendant helping parking. I said, "No, I'm going to a different party." "What kind of party are you going to?" I said, "I'm going to a Shabbat party in the Hamptons." He was very curious. He started asking me, "What do I do? Who am I?" So I told him, "I'm a writer, I'm a teacher, I'm an educator." He said, "What do you talk about?" I said, "Spiritual, psycho-spiritual matters." "You have an email list?" "Sure." Gave me his email. I wrote it down. And then I went off to my weekend, came back to New York, home, and I gave his email address to my office, my team, and they included it. I didn't forget the story, but I never thought I'd hear from him again. Years passed, at least 6 years, maybe 7 years. One day I get an email from this fellow. "You may not remember me. I was this young guy parking cars at a club when you stopped for gas, and we had a little conversation. And I've ever since been receiving your emails. It's changed my life. You may not know this. I'm Jewish. My parents were both killed tragically in a car accident when I was young, and I was shipped off one foster home to another foster home, to uncles. It was a mess. My life was a mess. I received no education. I was I'm a boy of the streets. Definitely no Jewish education. And here I learned about my heritage. I don't go to synagogue. I'm not affiliated. And he started quoting emails. He says, "This past Rosh Hashanah, I lived with your email. I prayed with it." And then he talked about Yom Kippur, and then Hanukkah, and other holidays, and Passover. And I saw he was literally quoting. It was like he was living with it. "I wanted to thank you," he says. Of course, I wrote back to him of how touched I was. I saw there the power of technology. What would be the likelihood if there was no internet, no technology, no emails, that he'd come to New York to a class of mine? Most likely not. But here, without extra effort, the same button you press to send emails to 10,000 people, to 50,000 people, 50,001. No extra cost, no extra effort. I'm not trying to suggest it isn't worth the effort. And you never know, you change a life. After that, I became an email junkie. I used to harvest emails. Wherever I went speaking, I said, "Send me your email, or give me your email address. What do you need my email? I'm not selling you anything. I like to share some thoughts." This every one of us can do. You never know what kind of impact it's going to have. It's a small example. You surely can come up with many other innovative ideas. So my friends, it's in our control. Never say someone else is controlling your destiny, your life. It's in your control. Total control of how you're going to use all the gifts, including technology. Get to know your soul. Embrace it. Let it be your hub, the center of your life, the force that everything else flows from, the hub that connects all your spokes. Rabbi Jacobson here, Meaningful Live. Please share this. Check us out at meaningfullife.com for all our different programs, a full schedule, an array of different offerings for different audiences, especially about the mission statement. Check that out. Always love to hear from you. Don't hesitate to contact me. Love to hear your comments. Love to hear your critique, suggestions. Anything that you'd like to share is valuable, is sacred, because it's your unique voice that can change the world now and forever. Thank you so much.